Uh, but here we
I'm
are
sure
again,
they
one more
are.
time. How are you, Anna?
I'm very well, apart from the heat, Alder. I've been saying that since our last video cast, but here has been like a heat wave from Africa non-stop. So I'm sweating, but I'm very well. How are you there?
I'm good. It's been a good like a little month here. Hey, yeah, look at that. We are here online. I can see it on my little website. I'm spying on ourselves. Anyway, yeah, no, things are also quite good here in China. How hot are we talking when we're talking about the heat wave? I feel like the people like the heat wave in Europe that is making the rivers spoil and the forest catch on fire is basically just the same heat that is like normal summer heat around here. 38 degrees or something? Like how hot are we talking?
Yeah. We got to 38. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to live in Chongqing, and summer there was just something else. It would get to over 30, and it wouldn't drop at all in the night. So that is different. But here it's really like we're going through a little bit of an emergency in terms of like water, and really, as you mentioned, a lot of fires burning in the capital city as well as the forest.
Yeah.
And the thing is also like there's no AC everywhere.
No, I think that's it,
Like
right?
there is, yes, yes.
We're just not
And
used to
also,
it.
with energy, yeah, energy crisis, then anyway, AC will be a lot of energy. So, it's just a moment, a moment that, yeah, we need to go through. But yes.
I mean, like, it is just because like Europe is not built for this kind of heat, and that's the thing. It's such a like the environment, the ecological systems, the cultures, and so on. None of it is ready for something like this, and that is the big thing. And this is probably something that is going to be the case for a lot of places around the world over the next decades, unfortunately. And well, like that's why we have to do research. One of the big emphasis of the Horizon Europe, the research framework of the European Union is climate change, right? There's all of this emphasis on tackling tackling global challenges related to climate, and honestly, also it's also one of the priorities of the Chinese government. So it's one of those like things where we can kind of maybe work together on. There is a new flagship initiative. Did we talk about this? I forgot. Have we talked about it already? Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. But in case you're hearing it for the first time, I think April, May, the European Union and the Chinese government came to an agreement to do a flagship research collaboration on the topic of climate change and biodiversity. So it's going to be a lot of money for collaborative projects, and there's a commitment on both sides to do this really well. So that this is really cool. And I guess if you are one of the researchers in the many different fields that are tackling that sort of thing, you can take a look at it in the next work program of Horizon Europe, which is probably going to come out now in the next few months. But what are we going to be talking about today? We just published a new newsletter, right, Anna?
Yes, we just came out with our second quarterly newsletter for 2022, and it's very thick, Halder. I think we managed to put together some interesting articles, starting from Marie Curie fellows that we interviewed, other fellows compared to our last videocast where we also had a live interview. And yeah, we actually tackle different topics. Open science, the opportunities in Belgium, and we announce as well our survey that is coming and the newsletter of Nermimek. So really many different topics, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to present a little bit, in a very friendly manner, the content of this newsletter. So you could just go on our website and read the articles that you find of interest. So yes, this is an opportunity for you to hear a little bit, and in case read and go for like a deeper dive into these topics of today. So what shall we do, Halder? Do we want to start? Maybe talk a little bit about the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellows that we interviewed. Yes, no, it was very nice to know that quite a few people that joined our webinars that we were in touch with applied and succeeded. And so yes, we decided to talk with them because we think that is also like very valuable for those of you out there who are currently applying to hear their experience of someone who it has been successful and maybe even applied before and wasn't successful, so has really like some advice to share. So for the newsletter, we interviewed three different Marie Curie postdoctoral fellows. Two of them that shared a little bit, especially of the advices on how to apply. One is Lin Jungmeng, who is a postdoctoral fellow in Finland at Aalto University. And the second one is Andong Wang, who is in the UK in Oxford. So they both work in physics, and they were, starting by saying that it wasn't the first time they applied when they were selected. For both of them, it was the second. So, they started by sharing a little bit of how to avoid not being selected, how much you need to care about the details, and especially follow the guidelines very, very strictly, let's say. So do not waste words and time of your application going too much in details if that means that you're going to forget about details, especially for one of them, a problem was related, for example, to going very much in details in his research project, but not elaborating enough on how to, the plan on like how to exploit the results, both on the business market, but also how to bring it to policymakers to make it real. Just as Halder was saying before, now there's this flagship initiative. I feel like it's so important that like we get, to know what researchers are researching on in terms of climate change, and that these results they need to, bring being brought out to the community, to the policymakers, so they can really be applied to make everybody's life better and maybe save the world as well. And so yes, and then we also asked them how to identify the right host institution when applying for postdoctoral fellowships. As if you're applying, the first step when you want to try to make your proposal for postdoctoral fellowships is that of finding an institution to apply with. So the main takeaway from these interviews is that they need to be really focusing on your specific research project. Of course, if you're experimentalist, then they need to have the right equipment, and you need to find, the supervisor that's interested in your research topic. And possibly you might get a lot of help and support from the research institution. Some universities in Europe, they even have a small team that can dedicate their time in helping you revise and improve your project. Some of them really have a lot of experience in applying for Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowships. So identify the research institution that is going to host you, and really don't be afraid of asking questions and asking for help, because that can really make the difference. And what else, Halder? Then we ask also about secondment, because that is also something that could add a little bit of added value to your application, being able to include those universities that might be good partners because they have knowledge, equipment, experienced professors that can complement your research project and your research experience with the host institutions you picked. So yes, I mean they shared a lot, and they really have a lot of advice. So if you're applying, I really suggest to read these interviews, because the best help you can have, I think, is from those fellows that already applied, is really by trying to also review your proposal with other fellows that are applying, because you're really focused on the same goal. So yeah, that's a little bit of the first two interviews. But we had a third very interesting one, especially as there are always a lot of Chinese researchers who are applying with institutions that are based in the UK, isn't it, Under? And the situation now is a bit complicated, I would say.
Oh, that's because. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so like now you should be able to hear me. Maybe you were not able to hear what I was saying earlier, which is not so good. But I want to give myself a couple of seconds to try to fix this. If I can just go here, and I can add an audio input. And here as well, audio input. As far as technical difficulties go, this one is quite easy one to fix, so that's good. All right. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So I'm. Let's get back to it. Basically. Okay. First of all, let me see if I go now to this one here, where we go back to the newsletter, and here we are. Yeah. So like. First of all, about like the way that you approach those interviews, I thought it was really interesting. You basically were asking them the same questions. So the one thing that I think this is very useful for those that are applying for these fellowships these days is through the fact that in reality, when you start to talk to people that have actually applied, you find out that a lot of them are sort of like they will say the same sort of tips and tricks. In particular, those that had to do it a couple of times until they found out a successful way to actually go through and get it like admitted in the fellowship. And the problem is, I think most of you have probably never met anybody that successfully applied. But like Anna and I, we have met a lot, so we can like share it with you and whatever. Or what is more interesting is just like take a look at somebody that is like you, similar background like you, another Chinese researcher, and just see how they're answering those questions. So for example, one of the questions Anna came up with was the question about the application process. We're asking like what are like sort of what were the most problematic parts, etc. This is just really, really good for you. But honestly, like you said, we had like a third interview as well, and that didn't come up out of nowhere. One of the most common questions that we do get when we are doing webinars is basically how about the United Kingdom, right? You're applying for Marie Curie. According to the Brexit agreement, United Kingdom is committed to participate in the Horizon Europe, which is what Marie Curie belongs to. So you're allowed to apply with a host institution in United Kingdom, but always under the pretense, like under the conditions that there will be some kind of negotiated contract between the United Kingdom and the European Union when you start your when you will start your contract, when you will start your fellowship. And this was something problematic because they were not sure how long time it would take. And now we're at the point where the people that were applying after webinars last year and did apply to a UK institution, which is really popular and common amongst Chinese researchers, some of them did apply, and now it's time to start, and there is no contract between the European Union and the UK yet. So what happens then? And I did notice that like Andong, who was our second interviewee, we didn't talk about it with him at all. But like after we did our interviews, I suddenly realized like we were getting close to the point where we will not even know if he will be able to do the Marie Curie Fellowship. So I thought, what is the best way to deal with this? Because this is something that all Chinese researchers will care about and want to know about how it will work if they're applying in the UK. So I just found like some information online how it goes. And I just got it confirmed from the UK embassy yesterday that this is actually how it is. So we are talking about a process where if in case there's no contract between European Union and the UK when you start your fellowship, the United Kingdom has promised, has committed themselves to give you the same fellowship through the UK Research and Innovation, UKRI. So you can get a UKRI fellowship. And so, like, this is good. This is something that they said last November last year, and then they re-acknowledged last March that they are committed to do this. So no researcher applying for this should be hurt or harmed because of this. So like you are able to go to this UK institution, you are able to do it. You just not be able to do it under the brand of Marie Curie, but everything else, all the details of the fellowship, all the funding of the fellowship and so on should be the same. So just to get a little bit of a sense for this, we decided to find like a guy that is also applying for a UK institution. So I decided to talk to Dr. Junming Lee, who is going to Sheffield University. And the reason why I talked to him is because I had been discussing with him earlier in the month about all of this, and he was telling me how the UKRI were doing these webinars for them and teaching them how to apply, etc. So if you want to hear about his story, including how he applied and how he became successful, he only applied once, so he must be really good. If you want to learn about like him and also like how it's been going for him about the UK being hosted in UK, this is a really interesting like additional sort of like an interview we decided to add last minute into our newsletter. And it's because we know you guys, we know what's going on. By the way, if you are now listening to this after joining our VChat group for this today's videocast, I mean, like, I would really love, I have my phone in front of me. If you have any questions or if you want to learn about any of this stuff a little bit more or whatever, just feel free to add like just ask us there. I would love, this is all live. This is happening right now. If you're watching us right now, please send us a message, even if it's just to say hi. Because like I want to make sure that we take advantage of the opportunity, the fact that we are here live. We are able to do things that you cannot do when you record a video. We could like answer questions and so on. If you have any questions about the Marie Curie, about the UK being hosted by UK institution or any of the other stuff, or if you've read the newsletter and you are like thinking about something, just like definitely go ahead and go through with it. So this was sort of our main piece this time. We were going through our Marie Curie phase, right? Because the Marie Curie deadline is coming up, and a lot of our Marie Curie fellows are applying right now, are preparing their applications. And honestly, I think it's very likely that we might even do some more stuff. There might be another webinar or another meeting or something before 12th of September. So if you are in the middle of doing an application to the Marie Curie, stay tuned, or just talk to us. Like take the advantage of these channels that we're creating, and then we can like have a conversation and help each other. But besides this, we also have a lot of other articles in this newsletter. We always try to find like some other things that are interesting, like maybe some topics that are either connected to like science in China or science between China or Europe related to Euraccess, or simply maybe some of the scientific like European research area heavy topics that maybe researchers in our network here in China might not be super familiar with. But one of it is about the European open science. And we did a science feature, open science feature in our last newsletter, and we decided to follow up this time with another one. Also, there was a forum the other day, right, that we participated in, Anna. The European Science Open Science Forum, ESOF, where Euraccess had like a whole session, and our colleagues from all over the world came, and I'm sure you can probably find videos of that online as well, where you can actually find out how Euraccess in China and Brazil and United States and Australia and Singapore and everywhere are kind of helping to sort of contribute to this project of making science open around the world and so on. But this time, what they're focusing on is sort of the FAIR principles. So fairness is obviously a really deeply moral and a philosophical topic, but in this particular context, we are talking about a principle that we have come up with in the European Union and elsewhere about how science can be a little bit more sort of like guidelines for science, how to make like fair practices. And you can find it actually on the Go Fair website, where you can find the verification framework, or you could basically just go into our newsletter. If you don't have the newsletter in front of you, you might have gotten it through our email, or you might find it on our website, china.eurexs.org. But the 4 fair principles is, first of all, like findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. These are the 4 ones. What does that mean in the context of science? Well, you can find out by reading our newsletter. What else? If I go through here, yes, every newsletter we have a focus on one of the Eurex's member countries. This time we had Belgium, which is a country that is rather small, a small country in Europe. It is how to say, like it's only 11 million people. It's like between France, Germany, the Netherlands, and next to Luxembourg as well. It is like a Western European country, but it's probably most relevant to us in Eurexs. It is sort of the headquarters of Eurexs, because Brussels are where the headquarters of the European Union is. Brussels, the capital of Belgium, is also sort of the headquarters of the European Union, and that's where the DG the DG Research and Innovation for the European Union, is headquartered. That's also where Eurexs Worldwide is headquartered. I used to live in Brussels for many years, because that was like it's the place to be if you're involved in European sort of schemes and stuff like that, and European collaboration. And I don't know, like what is your impression of Brussels just in general, or Belgium? Because I know, Anna, you just were there in March. I was not able to go, but we had our Eurexs meeting in Brussels in March. Was that your first time there, or?
No, Halder, and I love Brussels. I think you don't know, but I also lived in Brussels for a very short time. It was like half a year or even a little bit less. I was working there, and then yeah, China called, and I just packed my things and moved to Chongqing. But I had a great experience. I think Brussels, it's itself, especially as capital city, is a very dynamic place, and has a lot to offer to people, and researchers, and people in general. And yes, I mean, for researchers, it's also Belgium is quite an interesting, I think, destination in Europe, because it's like invests a lot in research and innovation, has some of the most innovative universities in the world. So it's really a place that you need to look at when thinking of moving to Europe. And I really had a great experience living in Brussels. From some point of view, I didn't want to leave, actually. Then there was this experience in China waiting for me, so I had to. But I'm always very happy when we go back for your access, or if I have the opportunity to travel there. It's definitely one of the center of European life, I would like to say.
Yeah,
And yes, I give it back to you.
yeah. I mean, like, one of the things that you notice when you're in Belgium is like sort of the double system that they have. They have like both a French-speaking part, and then they also have like Flemish-speaking part, which is basically 50-50. They also actually have a third one that's German-speaking. It's a little bit, quite a bit smaller, but it's sort of the third pillar. And it's interesting, in their system, everything is sort of about them being independent and sovereign and existing, but also together working towards a joint sort of like society. And we have this also, like, we can see this also here in Beijing. We do in Eurexs work a lot with the Belgian embassy, and they do have sort of science and research counselors, but one for that is representing the Flemish-speaking part, and also they have another one that is also like French-speaking, and they also work great together. And I have like amazing experience working with both of them, you know. And we go to our little Belgian restaurant here in Beijing and have lunches together, and everybody's like doing really well. And if you really want to go to Belgium to work with them, they're really excellent in a lot of fields of science. It's kind of good to know how this works, because they have like sort of two-pillar system. There's a lot of research funding and a lot of the research schemes that exist both in the French-speaking part and the Flemish-speaking part. And then they also have a joint schemes or whatever. So if you're interested in this, you should take a look at our newsletter. We do have the excellent privilege of working with Eurexes in Belgium, who like prepared like a really, really nice overview of things are right now in 2022 in Belgium research environment. This is good. This is good resource to have. So we are getting close to the end of the newsletter. We did at the end, we normally like put in like a couple of things that we would like our community to be aware of. So we have with us now the article about the survey for European researchers. If there's a European researcher or or several of you watching this now, maybe you're watching it on Twitter or Facebook or other European channel or Western channels, you are invited by us to answer our survey that we are preparing now. The survey will be published maybe in the next 1 or 2 weeks. We are preparing it in a really academic fashion and really well. We want to make it really a good one. So we are working with researchers in Europe, 2 of them actually, that we have worked with before on the mobility of researchers between China and Europe over the last few years. People that know a lot are really, really well familiar with it. And so we want this to be a good survey and well done. But I guess the main sort of motivation from us is that a lot of people have been leaving China because of like the lack of mobility, because of COVID. And in particular this year, this has been our gut feeling. But if we want to really know what is going on, and if we want to be able to help the community of Chinese European research collaboration and be able to sort of like give good recommendations on, we just need to know for sure exactly what's going on. And the best way to do that is just to go to all of you and just ask you, I want to know what's going on. So we're not only asking the people that are in China at this moment, also anybody that's been in China over the last 2 or 3 years. We just want to know, like, did you leave? And if you left, for example, are you still collaborating with China? Would be super cool for us to know, you know, because like maybe it's just because there's not a lot of flights and so on, but you still are interested in driving this collaboration. Maybe not. It would be really important for us to know how that all of that is going. And on top of that, we also have with us a little article about the NERPIMEC newsletter that just came out. Right, Anna?
Yeah, so we're always very happy to be able to disseminate also this newsletter. So you might have read the first one, the second one just came out, and it's the newsletter of NERMIMEC, so the Network of European Researchers in Biology and Medicine in China. So it's this group of European researchers working in this research area. They are based at Chinese institution and that got together in 2021 and has been very active. So in the newsletter, they collect and then we disseminate basically their news. So the new members that join the network, now I think we are reaching like about 70 members. So it's quite a big group. And the new articles and papers that they have published. So, Halder, I'm not going to talk about this in any detail because I think they wouldn't be happy if I did. This is for experts. So I leave to those who are listening, who work in biology and medicine, to have a look at the newsletter. You find everything about this network on nermimek.eu. You will see the members, what's the research field, and then you can click on the present newsletter, the summer newsletter, and also the previous edition that was released in winter. It's, I think it's an opportunity to get in touch with colleagues. And they really invite researchers that wants to organize joint activities, join the network, propose collaborations, in China or Europe, China, in their topics to get in touch. They have this like blue button, get in touch. In there you have the network's email, and they are really like fast in replying. They are really super happy to consider new members and new collaboration opportunities. So if you work in the field, just have a look. Something new might arise just from a new contact. That is how things develop. We learned. And so yes, we are also happy to talk about this newsletter, and we are really getting to the end of ours.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like, according to our statistics, maybe about 1/3 of you are in the field of biological sciences or medicine or whatever. So I am sure that if you are in this space between China and Europe, you're interested in Europe or you're here in China, and you're working in this field, this is probably more interesting newsletter than anything that we could come up with. We can talk about open science and blah, 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 blah. But what this is like all about like what your colleagues are up to and what they're doing and what people in this sort of, in that space are up to. And I think it's a nice little format for also something that we would like to encourage other fields to also do. We have networks in other fields also, maybe in the future, maybe researchers in, let's say, like physical sciences or social sciences or whatever, can do something similar. And it would be a way for all of our networks to, in addition to enjoy the benefits of the Euraccess sort of networking, we would also have like some professional interest here, something that could actually benefit you professionally. So like, I think that's kind of cool. It's a new thing. This is the second time that they do it, and it is really, it's really well done. I think it's a good stuff. That's good stuff. And we normally end our newsletter by taking a look at things in case people missed something. I don't know if you guys have been following us over the last couple of quarters, but we were working really heavily into April, May, finishing our science communication training. The people that did that have already, all of them received their certifications and so on. But in case you missed it, in case you hadn't managed to see that we were up to, we also recorded all of it. So it's all online. It's on Yoku or YouTube if you're in Europe. And if you go to a newsletter, you can just kind of click them and take a look. It's a good preparation for those of you that might want to participate in our science slam or the Falling Walls, which is also around the corner. So I think that's basically it for... This will be it for our newsletter this time. I don't know if there's anything else that we would like to sort of emphasize in this videocast right now. Let me take a look if anybody said anything in the group. No. Oh, guys, I know for a fact at least 2 of you are watching us right now. So like, what is this? Why are you so silent? Okay, so there's a new homework. We want to, like, for our next monthly videocast, when that takes place, we want to get like at least 2 or 3 people that are there, and we can maybe shoot the shit with a bit, talk to a little bit. I don't know. Like, is that a good goal, Anna?
I hope so too, Halder. Yes, I hope so. Anyway, I want to say thanks for watching, and really, like, just go on our portal, china.euraccess.org, and you find all the articles and a lot of interesting content. So yeah, I'll say goodbye from hot Italy,
Yep.
and we'll see you next month.
Ciao.
Ciao,
Bye bye.
ciao.
再见。